I had the carburetor on and in, and everything looked good, and was just about to tighten down the clamps, and so I pulled the vacuum tube through, and then I pulled the gas line through, and then it came off in my hand. And so apparently what's happened is that somehow, well, I know how I did it. Prior to going on camera to show you that I was installing that, the carburetor slipped out of my hand, hit the carpeted floor. I kind of half caught it. And as a result, I broke the gas intake. So I'll have to run to the Kawasaki dealer tomorrow and get a new one. So I don't know, hopefully that won't be too expensive. I don't know what that part number is, but you know, obviously, learn from my mistakes. Don't do what I do. Hopefully you'll learn from it. A lot of times online you see all these perfect videos of all the good things and stuff that happen. They never show you any of the bad stuff. Well, that's what can happen. That's what did happen to me. So tomorrow I'll make a trip to the local motorcycle shop and see if I can get a replacement part. Hopefully they won't have to order it. But there it is. It sucks. But, what do you do? So I guess I need to be a little bit more careful, huh? So it just slipped on my hand for just like, it didn't even make it all the way to the floor before I caught it again. I'm just that fast. And but I only kind of half caught it, hit the carpet, and I didn't even know I cracked it when I dropped it. Got it all the way in the bike and was pulling that gas tube through, like I said, and it just came off of my hand. So but that's it right there. You can see. So, but I'll come back when I got the replacement part. Thanks. Okay, so just real quickly, here's what I did. Unfortunately, this part, which is this part here in pieces, this little piece of plastic, which is probably costs all of about 35 cents, is not a replacement part. So depending on what your model KLR you have, like I'm guessing mine is like a 2012 and a half, because sometime in 2012 they replaced this part of the carburetor, and it is considered a non-replaceable part by Kawasaki. So I went to the local Kawasaki dealer, and they gave me some ideas how to fix this. The service manager there was awesome, real helpful. Wasn't real sure what to do. The mechanic in the back kind of was like, well, I don't know what to do either. Basically told me I was shit out of luck. So then I went to the Honda dealer, because that's generally where I go anyway. And spoke with a guy there, and we came up with a solution which was pretty close to what everyone on KLR650.net said. Well, at the suggestion of ChuckB on the forums, what I did was I called Mike from Eaglemike.com, and sent him a link that was also in the same forum post that I made, provided by GoMotor. And Eaglemike, GoMotor, and ChuckB have all kind of come up with this solution. And basically what you end up having to do is you have to pull this part out of the carburetor. Now there's some different schools of thought on how that you should do that. GoMotor says that he had the same issue. I don't know if he had the same year carburetor or a newer one, I'm not sure. But he said he just kind of twisted and pulled this thing right straight out with a pair of vice grips. That scares me a little bit, but, it could work. The other suggestion was, I guess, a culmination of something that Eaglemike found on the link provided by GoMotor, and that suggests actually tapping this part of the opening in this fuel inlet. And by tapping it, then you put another screw in there with a big old fat washer on the end of it, and put something between the washer and then this part of the carburetor, and you just screw it in gently, therefore basically taking this part out of the carburetor, so then you have an open hole here. So I mean, it's, you know, it's not that big of a piece. I mean, you can see, you know, what there is to it. I guess one of the things that GoMotor cautioned me about is that if you tap it, then there's a chance that you can get debris down in your carburetor, which is true. If you, then one of the things ChuckB cautioned me about was if you go twisting and pulling on this thing, you want to make sure that that's all you do. You don't want to pry it back and forth to get it out, because then you're going to end up widening this part of the aluminum, because this is soft in comparison. So, you know, the last thing you want to do is, you know, bore that hole out, because then the replacement part won't work. I don't have a replacement part number for you, but I will, because hopefully I'll have it in my hot little hands tomorrow, and I'll put the link in the description, so you can also take advantage of what GoMotor sent to me. It's actually, you know, so apparently others have done this. GoMotor says he's done this too, and just real. The guys at the Honda actually gave me a carburetor, an old carburetor. It's also a CVK carburetor. I don't know what it's off of, or it's a, I guess it's a Keihin carburetor, K-E-I-H-I-N carburetor. And then the Harley part is going to look exactly like this. And so I don't know the condition of this one, where this one came from. I don't know anything about this carburetor or where this stuff came from. So I'm going to opt for a new one. And then, so here's a kind of what we'll see is when I'm going to pull this out, get the Harley part, press it in with a vise, and make sure the angle's correct, because you don't want to press this in and have it the wrong way and your fuel line not work correctly or whatever. So keep that in mind if you run into the same problem I did, is that when you do press the new part in, you do want to press it in. You don't want to bang it in with a hammer or anything like that. You can just press it gently in with a vise. You just want to be, you know, be mindful of what's on this side of the carburetor, so you don't you know, break any parts or anything like that. I'm going to probably create a relief out of probably wood, just so that I can get some good pressure on this side of the carburetor and not damage any of the parts. That way then when I can just put this on my vise and press the Harley part that's going to look very, very similar to this into my carburetor. So the next step is to take this part out, and we'll see what happens. And then I'm kind of like, you know, I'm on the fence here as to what I'm going to do exactly. And you know, I think probably what I'll try is pulling it out with a pair of vice grips and see what happens. If it just pops right out, hopefully that will be awesome. Then if not, then I'll tap it and then pull it out the other way. So those are the options you have. You know, some of you that are, you know, a lot better mechanics than I am probably will, you know, offer another suggestion. So, and offer just a little piece of plastic. And if you're wondering what it looks like, I mean, this piece right here is exactly what was on here, except for it was just a little bit bigger. This is fuel and this is air. So, or this is the vent tube that runs underneath your seat. So your carburetor goes on the front of the bike like that. You know, this is your vacuum, and then the vent tube connects right here and goes up underneath your seat. So I know that's upside down, but that's the best view I could give you. So we'll see what happens, and I'll let you know exactly what I did. I would do it on camera, except for I'm afraid I'll mess it up, and then I'll get all bent out of shape and start throwing things. So we'll see what happens. Okay, basically what I did was I tapped it. I tried and tried and tried to pull this thing out, and I was really kind of worried more about rounding out or damaging the aluminum on the carburetor than this. I was of this, of course. So I tapped it. And then I found as many washers as I could find. And then what I'll do is I'm going to put a wood block that I created with a big old hole in it that fits down over this part, kind of supports its weight against the carburetor without all of its weight on one part. And then what I'll do is I'll just tighten this little screw down on top of these washers, and it'll pull basically this part out of the carburetor. So I'm gonna give it a shot and see what happens, and hopefully it all works out. And there it is, and it pulled right out. You can see right there how just that little bit of leverage on these washers on the piece of wood. I mean, it's really crude, it really is. So we got a really wide washer here. There's the fitting that was in the plastic, that was in the carburetor. It's not in there anymore. There you go, you can see it. Plain as day, came right out. Nice and simple. So here's my wood block. I mean, it's basically a big white hole in the bottom. I cut a little notch out so it would fit around the carburetor. Right there. And then these washers down over the wood block. Turn this nut down, putting pressure on the washers on the wood, and with this screw pull in the inlet, the reverse pressure just pulled it right straight out. So I guess you could pry and pull on it with you if you want, and you're one of the lucky ones and it comes right out for you. I know GoMotor on the forum said that's what happened to him. He was one of the lucky ones. I tried to pull and all that stuff, and it didn't come out for me. So like I said, I just created a simple wood block with a hole in it, and a little notch cut out, the washers, and there's the inlet. Just came right out. So can't beat it, can you? Nice and easy, simple, come right straight out. One thing you do want to be careful of when you tap it, I tapped it upside down, and when I did, there's enough space in the tap where the debris will fall out. And then I had a real fine vacuum cleaner, and I just kept it upside down the whole time, and I just made sure that there was no debris or anything out of there, and I sucked it down in there, and I put the edge of the vacuum down in the hole and basically just sucked out all the debris. So I'm extremely confident that there is no metal shavings or debris down in there. So it all worked out. Now I just got to wait for the replacement part and valve to get here, and then I'll do the same thing. I'll just do that in reverse, and I'll just press it right in there. So there you go. Look for, I guess that'll be part 4. I really didn't want any more than part 3, but
I'll show that to you in part 4 and then the install. So thanks for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe.